All right, let's jump right into it. Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to take that somewhat intimidating final year project course guide and transform it into a totally clear, epic hero's journey. If you're stepping into a level 300 honors degree program, you are looking right at the ultimate test of your academic career. I know it can feel a bit overwhelming, but stick with me. By the end of this, you'll have a crystal clear roadmap of exactly how to conquer the whole thing.
400. Just let that number sink in for a second. That is the estimated study time commitment for this final year quest. Yep, you heard me right. This isn't just another class where you squeeze in a few regular study units. We are talking about a 10-credit challenge spread out over 2 full semesters. It's an independent journey, which means late nights, definitely some moments of frustration, but also some huge, rewarding breakthroughs. Grasping the sheer scale of this beast right off the bat, that's your very first step to actually beating it.
Now, welcome to your training ground. We're pulling the rules for this quest straight out of the official Wawassan Open University course guide. And hey, while this is an independent project, you are absolutely not walking this path alone. You get a designated project supervisor, a WOU tutor who acts as your trusty guide. Think of them as your mentor. They're there to help you define your scope, pace your actual work, and crucially, help you pivot when you inevitably hit a dead end. Because trust me, you will.
So, here is our roadmap for today. We'll be covering 1. Your final year quest. 2. Mapping the critical milestones. 3. Conquering the 3 reports. 4. Surviving the oral presentation. And 5. Decoding the marking rubrics.
Starting with Section 1, your final year quest, preparing for the 10-credit challenge. Let's establish the baseline rules.
A really crucial first step on this journey is setting the right boundaries. You know, it's such a dangerous trap to start out with an overly ambitious scope. If you cast your net too wide, you seriously run the risk of ending up with half-finished sections or just a really rushed, shallow investigation. Instead, look at the successful path, maintaining a strictly focused, realistic scope. Remember, this isn't a postgraduate research degree. You aren't expected to make some brand new, earth-shattering discovery. The whole point here is to prove you can methodically and independently take a project from day one all the way to a successful conclusion.
Moving right along to Section 2, mapping the critical milestones, your academic roadmap. Let's look at the timeline.
Okay, your year is split into 4 critical trials. Week 8, your initial report is due. Fast forward to week 25, and you've got the interim report. Week 40, that is the ultimate deadline for your massive final report, and then in week 46, you face the oral presentation. Listen, I literally cannot stress this enough. Strict adherence to these deadlines is absolutely mandatory. In fact, WOU policy is super clear. There are 0 extensions for the final report submission. None. Time management is going to be your absolute best weapon here.
Now for Section 3, conquering the 3 reports, the ultimate trials. Let's break down these major written challenges. Your very first trial is the initial report. It's roughly 1,500 words long. But check out where the heavy weighting is. You get 20% for your project definition and another 20% for your project plan. But the absolute core of this thing, that middle piece, the literature review, is worth a massive 60%. This is where you really have to dive in and provide a critical appraisal of existing research, showing exactly how it forms the foundation of your entire project. Examiners want to see rock-solid evidence that you truly grasp the underlying principles of your work. Next up is the interim report in week 25. Also hitting around 1,500 words, but this trial is perfectly balanced. Your grade is split evenly at 20% across 5 areas: literature review progress, methodology progress, challenges and solutions, adherence to timeline, and report structure progress. Now, what's genuinely fascinating to me is that challenges and solutions bucket. You are actively being graded on how you adapt to obstacles. Documenting exactly how you troubleshoot design flaws, hardware glitches, or sudden delays is literally a core part of your grade. How cool is that?
Then, the heavyweight steps into the ring, the final report. We're talking 7,500 to 8,500 words. I know, it sounds like a lot. But to demystify this giant document, just break it down into 4 logical structural steps. First, the abstract. That's just a standalone summary of your whole shebang. Second, the introduction and aims, which really places your work into context. Third is the main text and discussion, where you get into the nitty-gritty of your methodology, data collection, and analysis. And finally, your conclusions and recommendations. Honestly, tackling this step by step is the absolute best way to maintain your sanity.
This actually brings us to a really major mindset shift. The course guide explicitly says, and I love this, It is important that as well as your successes, you record your failures. That is, the dead ends or false starts. A lot of students think a failed experiment means a failed project. Definitely not true. The university actively wants you to meticulously document your failures. Explain why they happened, why you didn't see them coming. Look, unless you put the whole messy, real process on paper, the examiners literally won't be able to tell what you've actually learned.
Let's move to Section 4, Surviving the Oral Presentation, the Final Boss. Time to defend your work.
In week 46, you're going to step into a room and face your examination panel. Who's at the table? The internal examiner, one academic member of the school, and the dean or their representative. So yeah, no pressure. This is the moment where your presentation skills, your creativity, and your ability to handle on-the-spot questioning get put to the ultimate test. They're going to probe your understanding, and you need to be totally ready to show off the deep, hard-earned knowledge you've built up over those 400 hours.
And finally, Section 5, Decoding the Marking Rubrics, where the points are hidden. Let's do some math to maximize your grade.
So where exactly does the heavy weighting lie here? Well, your initial report is worth 10% of your overall grade, and the interim report bumps up to 30%. But look at this, a staggering 60% of your total grade hinges entirely on the final report and the oral presentation combined. What does that mean for you? It proves that while starting strong is great, your endurance, your ability to powerfully finish the project and synthesize everything you found is where you absolutely have to focus your ultimate energy.
Now, securing a pass isn't just about getting a decent overall average. There are specific mathematical thresholds you have to clear. To pass the course at all, you need an overall minimum score of 40%. But wait, there's more. You also have to score at least 40% specifically on the final report. That's 24 out of 60 points. And you must score at least 40% combined on the initial and interim reports, which is 16 out of 40 points. So you can't just bomb the early reports and hope a stellar final report saves you, or vice versa. Consistency across the board is totally mandatory.
Before we wrap up, there is a very severe warning in the guide that we absolutely have to touch on. Keeping silence on the source of your idea is plagiarism. In your literature reviews and your final reports, using unacknowledged sources is a fatal trap. It will instantly end your journey in failure. You've got to cite properly, whether you're pulling from publications or from people. When it comes to originality and academic integrity, there is zero room for negotiation.
Which brings us to the end of our explainer and leaves us with one really pivotal question. You've got the roadmap now. You know about the 400-hour commitment, the critical milestones, the rubrics, and why you need a laser-focused scope. So, will your final year project be an academic masterpiece you proudly display, or is it going to be a cautionary tale of a poorly managed timeline? The tools are right there in your hands. The path is clear, and your clock, it starts right now. Good luck on your quest.